Inravio.com.
Hello again, everybody. This is Joe Larsen, and you're watching the 5 Off, 5 On Racing Show. Happy New Year. Hope everybody had a good New Year. 2016, who would have thought? It sounds like so futuristic, but 2016 should be a good year. Most stuff, and new Riverhead Raceway will be in full bloom, and all the other tracks across the Northeast, the Wheeling Modified Tour, added another venue, and going back to where they haven't been to in quite some time. So a lot of what's old is new, I guess, but it's all good. 2016, 2015, you know, I'm not even going to say it. Anyway, sometimes I crack myself up. But anyway, 2016 is here, and a lot of stuff's going on, and Daytona 500s in 6 weeks. Kick off the NASCAR season. First week of May, a lot of the weekly tracks start. Some actually start in April. Got the Wheeling Modified Tour going to the Thompson Motorsports Park for the annual Icebreaker. And it's kind of funny. It's one of those things, the Icebreaker, the original owner, Don Honig, he always wanted to be the first race of the season, the Icebreaker. And, you know, it's kind of funny. Now, like I said, his grandchildren are running the place. His grandsons are running the facility now, and there's a road course there. And, you know, they no longer have the 5 events that they used to have back when I was with the tour. But, you know, they still have the traditional Icebreaker, the traditional race, the World Series at the end of the year in October. And, you know, and they have 2 others scattered. But what's missing from the Thompson Motorsports Park and the NASCAR Wheeling Modified Tour is the old Thompson 300, which was like an awesome, awesome event. 300 laps. And, you know, you had to strategize for that event. You had to know what you were doing. And I can remember, you know, talking to guys about that. The first time I was up in the tower doing that race, I was like, we're really going to go 300 laps here? We're going to be here all day. But it always turned out to be one of the best events of the year. So, you know, I'm reaching out there to the folks because I know they listen, watch. Bring that race back. That was one of that was like the highlight of the season. It was almost like the all-star game in baseball. Mid-season, make it happen. You know, do it. And I missed that. That was always a good event. You know, the pitch strategies that were involved with that event were just awesome. You know, don't get me wrong, Stafford Motor Speedway with the spring sizzle and the fall final, and there are a couple of events, you know, mid-season and their Friday night shows. Great shows there. I never went to Stafford until I became a tour official. I had heard so much about it. I had heard how well it's run, how the food was awesome. It wasn't a bad seat in the house. Good, hard racing. And when I finally went there for the first time in 2003, seems like forever ago, I was impressed. And I don't impress easy. You know, I had been to, over 80, 90 racetracks throughout North America in my lifetime. And, you know, you hear about these places, and when you go there, you're like, wow. Like the first time I went to Daytona, where it was raining in turn 1 and then sunny in turn 4. I was never at a track that size. Same thing with Pocono, the first time I went there. With binoculars, I couldn't see the backstretch. It was just amazing. But, Talladega, that's on my bucket list. I want to go to Talladega down in Alabama. I want to go there just once to see an event. And it's basically the only track that's on my list that I haven't been to that I want to go to. It's all good. But anyway, New Year's. A lot of new stuff going on. A lot of teams are in prep for 2016 still, especially the weekly teams. They still haven't gotten their sponsorship packages totally in order. Some guys are waiting to see what they're going to. What did they say? One driver says to me, I was talking to, who shall remain nameless, You know, when I'm talking about racing on Long Island, he says, I'm going to sit back and wait and see what happens. You know, by the time he sits back and waits to see what happens, the season will be half over. And you know what? His new ownership coming to Long Island at Riverhead Raceway, and I kind of dubbed it the new Riverhead Raceway. And you know what? Support the new owners. Support them. You know, my mom, you know, she passed away about 10 years ago. My mom always said, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. So don't take a sit back and wait. Be a part of the solution. Get involved. And you guys out there, you know who you are. You know, and I just can't understand why you wouldn't want to take hold of this. All the complaints and all the concerns about the old ownership, the old promoters, some of the old officials, and they're not there anymore. Give it a shot. Start from the get-go. You know, racetrack's only as good as its competitors. So if the racetrack is, everybody's complaining about the racetrack, you need to look in the mirror and see what are you doing to make it better? If you can't say, this is what I'm doing my part, then maybe you don't belong. Maybe you should go fishing. Maybe you should go play golf on Saturday, or just stay home and watch, you know, TV. And I don't mean to be, you know, negative here about that, but, you know, it's the old saying, be careful what you wish for, because you might get it. You know, now you got what you wished for, new blood, new venue, new everything, and you're going to sit back and still play the game. So to me, I think that's an excuse. A lot of race car drivers have that excuse, you know. I'd rather have a guy say to me, I don't have the money to go racing, instead of blame the racetrack. Well, you know, I got a job, I got to work overtime, you know, or I got to be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. Decide what you're going to do. But anyway, a lot of good stuff happening. I don't mean to start off that 2016 a little negative, but it's not really negative. I'm just stating a fact here. And a lot of people take some of that stuff to heart. But 2016, I said it again. 2015 was a good year for us racing here at the 505 on race show. We went to a lot of different racetracks. My buddy Kevin Basic from Long Island Need for Speed and myself made friends at Orange County Fair Speedway, Waterford, London Waterford Speed Bowl, New Egypt, Bethel, just to name a couple. Wall. We had a good time. We saw a lot of racing. I experienced dirt up close and personal for the first time. I had gone to dirt tracks, but I was sitting in the grandstand, bought a ticket. I was never behind the scenes to see what goes on. I went to the first dirt race in 1988, Cottage Grove Speedway in Oregon, way back when. One of the guys I knew out there, they want to go to races. Hey, sure, I'm not going to miss a chance. It was a dirt track, sprint cars and stuff. And I was impressed. Volusia County Speedway, I saw some dirt racing there. Liked it. Went to New Egypt. It's got to be over 10, 12, 14 years ago for the first time. Watched that. But being behind the scenes and being in the pit area and the tech area and walking around the cars and talking to the owners and the drivers, it was totally different than what I was accustomed to. Especially when I was on the infield and I said, oh, we're going to start practicing. Okay, I'm sitting there and I watched the cars come out and they did like 3-4 laps and they pulled in. Next group came out, 3-4. I said, this is practice? But practice is, what's involved with practice on a dirt track is they get the track ready. You know what they say, putting the water down, getting it firm. And you go out and do your practice and go racing. I got an education. I had a great summer this year going traveling to all these races. I was going to cut back this year and some of it. And met a lot of different people. Learned a lot of different things. So 2016, we're going to just add some more to that. We're going to visit some more venues, go to places that we haven't been to. Talk to some people. Throughout the winter, we're going to have, you know, we did a bunch of interviews over the summer with different drivers from different venues, different racetracks. We're going to show those throughout the winter time. I'd have to say one of my most interesting interviews was with TC, Ted Christopher, talking about why he missed a tour race in Monadnock to chase the points of the London Waterford Speed Bowl. He said it, he goes, if I don't have a shot at being a champion, what's the difference if I finished 8th in points or 6th in points? It was very interesting. And Ted Christopher's a sweetheart. I mean, a lot of people, once he gets on that racetrack, he's a tough competitor, but the guy is, he's got a heart of gold and he enjoys what he does, and he enjoys the people. And I even said to him, when I first went on a tour and I had to go deal with Ted Christopher in a situation, I had heard so many things about Ted Christmas, how tough he was. Like, oh man, why do I got to do this? And it turned out he was just a regular guy. He said, don't tell people that. But people know. People who know him know that. Yeah, anyway. Yeah, what's going on here? A lot of stuff. PRI being down in Pennsylvania a couple of weeks. We're going to take a trip down and check it out. I've been there a few times with old buddy Bill Stockton. Had a great time. See a lot of vendors, a lot of people, a lot of teams down there, a lot of fabricators and engine builders there selling their stuff. Video mics usually there, getting rid of some of those old videos that he has. It'll be a fun time. There's a lot to do in the off season. Wow, really is there. The indoor races, they just had the Allentown, PA midget race this past weekend. We'll talk about that. Atlantic City's coming up the end of the month, and Trenton will be in February. If you've never seen indoor racing, I recommend you go check it out. Some people can't take the fumes, burns their eyes, they can't breathe. Some people can't take the sound because it's loud. But you know what? If you could take that, if you're a big racing fan, you want to go see some good hard racing, go see some indoor racing. That's where you separate the men from the boys. Let me tell you, it's a small, tight track, attrition. I think in the slingshots, only 9 cars finished. I think 24 started the race. It's good, hard, tough racing, and it's quick and it's fast. You check it out. Check it out. I went to my first indoor race in Atlantic City back in, I think it was 1978, and I couldn't believe that they were going to race indoors. I just couldn't believe it. My friend's driving me down there. He first said, want to go to the race in Atlantic City? I said, isn't it a little cold? He said, no, it's indoors. What do you mean it's indoors? And when we got there, I was like, wow, it was awesome. Check it out. Lenny Salmons, he puts on a good show. Lenny Salmons, editor of Area Auto Racing News, promotes these events, and a little plug for him. Because he does a good job, and it's not easy, putting on an event like that. And what they need to go through to prepare the floor to make it a racetrack. Moving out the seeds, pouring Coke syrup down, so that you get a little stick until you get some rubber in the asphalt. Otherwise, the concrete, it's just, if you've ever been to a store that has concrete floors, it's as smooth as that, and you're not going to go full blast and make turns there unless you got something to stick on. But, it's funny, I talk about this dirt track stuff, and I really wasn't involved with it, and I see one of my old buddies, he's pushes some of these cars, and push starts them. He goes pushing at these dirt tracks, and he always said, you got to come see, you got to come, and I did, and I had a great time doing it. It's all good. But anyway, talk about when we come back from break. Allentown, it was a good event, good car counts, a lot of people, sold out. And, I don't see why Atlantic City would be any different. It's going to be a fun time. I usually go for the whole weekend. Atlantic City would be, Atlantic City will be January 29th and 30th. They'll have PQs, the 3/4 midgets. They'll have the slingshots, and they will have the champ carts, which I'll tell you what, put on one heck of a show in Atlantic City. And, yeah, she does. Personal experience with that. It's funny, a little story before I go to break. Grew up in Monadnock, and get my dirt track friend, get her to come up there and meet us and go racing. Normally she goes to these dirt tracks, and she's the push truck. And it was a whole different experience seeing this asphalt stuff. She's seen asphalt racing in the past, but seeing a modified tour race in a tight little quarter mile up in New Hampshire, Monadnock, it was just wild. And I can remember, coming back from the track. They have the roundabouts, I guess you call them, or the traffic circles, and New Hampshire State Police just didn't like the way we went through that traffic circle. The fact that we didn't pull over right away, because we didn't think they were chasing us, we thought they were just chasing somebody else. We ended up pulling into the parking lot, and Mr. State Trooper was not a happy camper that day. We got away with it, we got off, and we went and joined our group, the rest of the group, I should say, nearby Watering Hole. And good memories that you have. But anyway, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll have some discussion and the results of the indoor races at Allentown, Pennsylvania, when we come back.
Hey, this is Chris Jake, and if Inravio.com spots you at an event wearing this bracelet, they will give you $100.
Village Music Shop in Mastic has everything you need to give the gift of music this holiday season. Electric guitar packages with a guitar, amp, bag, and strap for only $129. Acoustic guitar packages as low as $79. Full-size 5-piece drum set package starting at $299. And all holiday packages come with 2 free private lessons. Gift cards available. Village Music Shop of Mastic. The best prices and personalized service for over 45 years. Call 1-800-HEY-DUDE and visit villagemusicshop.com.
Hey, I'm Raul Panther.
And I'm Commander B. Hawkins.
And I'm Merch Weller. We're some of the proto men. If we see you without this bracelet, you're punching the But if you have this bracelet from Inravio.com, you can win $100.
Put one of these on, or else.
For over 60 years, Hanson Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hanson Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit HansonCarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hanson Carpet has got you covered. The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, Inravio can get your message out there. And we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is Inravio.com.
Welcome back. Welcome back. All right, Allentown, PA was the home of the indoor races this past weekend at the PPL Center in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Eric Rudolph was the winner, leading every lap of the 40-lap event. Following Eric to the checker was Ryan Flores. Mike Lichty was third. Jimmy Blewett fourth. Timmy Buckwalter fifth. Bob Neely was sixth. Anthony Cecily was seventh, followed by Patrick Emily in eighth, Jonathan Reed in ninth, and Earl Paulus rounded out the top 10. In the slingshot race, Eddie Reeder was the winner with Joe Canada third, second, and Cody Klein third. The next event, as I said earlier, is at Atlantic City, New Jersey on January 29th and 30th, and they'll be in Trenton on February 26th and 27th. 71 TQs took time with Andy Jankowicz setting fast time, followed by 6 heat races to get the rest of the qualifying in. Winners of the heat race were Justin Bonsignor, Jimmy Blewett, Eric Rudolph, Lou Ciccone Jr., Ryan Flores, and Neil Williams. This was the first event held at the PPL Center in Allentown for indoor races, and it was a sold-out crowd. There wasn't a seat in the house available. Now, some people say, oh, I saw 3 empty seats. When they say sold out, that means every ticket available was sold. If those people chose not to go, it's still sold out. Just want to, point that out to people, because sometimes you'll see like a Sprint Cup race and you'll see all these empty seats. Believe me, those seats are paid for, because, and I know I've said this before, when I was going to Daytona regularly as a race fan, I'd go to Daytona, I'd go to Speed Weeks, I'd be there for that whole week, 10 days, starting the Friday before the Bud Shootout, and staying until the Daytona 500 on Sunday, and then the next day I'd spend a week. I'd head over to Orlando and spend a week and do kid stuff with the family. So I usually took like 2.5 weeks off in February to go do this. And by the time I got home, my bill for my tickets for the following year was in my mailbox. And it had to be paid within like 10 days or they were going to give my tickets away. And trust me, when I didn't believe, they're not going to do that. So I waited like an extra month, and those tickets were gone. So anyway, but sold out. So then I'll tell you what, I've been to Atlantic City, and I've been there where it's been sold out. I've been there on bad weather days where it wasn't. And I had gone with a bunch. This is the funniest thing. I like telling this. I don't know if I ever told this story, but here we are. And really it's not funny because, we took advantage. I'm with ASI. Everybody knows ASI Sportswear, ASI Racewear. They make race shirts, T-shirts, uniforms, fire suits. It's not a commercial for ASI. I happened to work there at the time. And we did the trade show, which was in conjunction with the Atlantic City races. So we're at ASI, we're doing our thing. We had a bunch of our salespeople there and the people who help us out. And it's time to go out to dinner. And we all have our white button-down shirts that say ASI, but it says racewear underneath. We go to this Italian place, and there's somebody in the chat room that was there with us that night. We go to this Italian place, and we go have dinner, and the waitress says, "What does ASI stand for?" So one of the guys in the crowd, not me, says it stands for the American Scuba Institute. American Scuba Institute? He goes, oh yeah, he goes, and this was the same weekend, I shouldn't be laughing, but that U.S. Air flight crash landed in the Hudson. So one of the guys in the room says, yeah, he goes, we were underwater all day. We were the ones, we rescued the people on that flight that landed in the Hudson. And I go, no way. And we're just tired, we're cold, we need to warm up. And they didn't give us our meal for free, but they gave us drinks for free. It didn't end there. Now we're leaving, and the girl behind the bar says, you guys rescued those guys on the plane? Yeah, that was us, yeah. Sit down. So we drank for like the rest of the night, and our money was no good. And we stuck to that story. We from the American Scuba Institute, ASI, and we had such a good time there. And yeah, that's right. She was one of the people that got rescued and wanted to spend time with us. We had a lot of good fun that weekend. A lot of good fun. And you know what? That's what racing's all about. A lot of people take it a little, not that you take it too serious. You got to take what you do serious. But you know what? Enjoy the moment. Enjoy the moment. And we did the trade show. We were there all weekend. We went to the races at night. And we shared some stories back at the restaurant down the road. And the waitress was bragging about us. The bartender, every time somebody came in, she would tell those people, these are the guys. They were in American Scuba Institute. They rescued the people on the plane. And those guys would buy us drinks. And you go back to the hotel, you're like, how did we even get back to the hotel? I don't, thank God I wasn't driving. But it's one of the rare occasions where I might have partaken in a little bit too much adult beverage. One of the few, maybe it's 5 times in my whole lifetime. But we had a good time. And it's stuff like that you remember. And it seems like it was so long ago. But like you said, it's stuff that you remember and you tell stories about. And that's not one of those big fish stories. Yeah. It's not one of those big fish stories, that the fish you caught was big, but it was really this big. This is like factual. And then we did do karaoke. And we talked about Mean Gene and the flamethrowers. He was going to come down and perform when he's not rescuing people in the river. He plays in a band. And we had that fun. We had a lot of fun. And that's what you do when you're involved with racing. You look back and you laugh, and you laugh at what went on. But going to these races, going to these events, and you get a whole bunch of memories from 2015, and like going to Orange County Fair Speedway, dirt track, and it had rain. It was raining all the way up, and and I'm driving Kevin's car, and I get it into the mud right up to the frame, and it ain't coming out. Now we can't leave it there, because it's only going to get worse as the day goes on, and we're trying to figure out what to do. And all of a sudden, one of the pit stewards goes, "Well, we'll just get the payloader and lift it out." No. And we ended up getting it out and parking on firmer ground. The stuff that you do, and you look back and you laugh and you have fun. And I look back to one of the first times that I ever went to a stock car race. It was Freeport Municipal Speedway. It was 1965. I was just 7 years old, so you could do the math. 7 years old, and I went with my grandparents and going to watch the races. First time I saw a stock car race in person. First time. 7 years old. And the guy crashes into the wall. I thought that was the greatest thing. Like, wow, the guy crashed. Guys are flipping. I'm thinking this is the greatest thing. And as you get older, you realize that's not what they're there to do. They're there to go do some hard racing. And then I had gone to ISO Speedway, which was total contrast, total different. Because the class, when I went to Freeport Speedway, it was Municipal Stadium as it's called, when I went there, they didn't have modifieds that night. For whatever reason, I don't know, I'm a kid. I wouldn't know the difference between a modified and a go-kart at that age. But then I went to ISUP, and they had modifieds, figure eights, and then whatever the promoter brought in, whether it was a demolition derby, whether it was midgets, or there was a farm race with farm animals, no matter what it was, the circus shows, as people call them, and it was different. And watching modifieds on that fifth of a mile track, well, when I went and saw the Grand Nationals, the Sprint Cup guys, I'm like, wait a minute, did you pay these? Bobby Allison? I couldn't believe it. And I remember going home and telling my dad, telling my dad that they were racing. He goes, "Those guys don't race there. You're a mistake. Maybe it's a guy with the same name," because he just wasn't into that stuff. And right before he passed away, he said to me, he goes, "I think I missed the boat on this racing." The fact that he said that put credibility to what I tried to do in my lifetime, my career, or whatever you want to call it, with racing. But I remember going to ISIS with my grandfather and sitting. We parked in the south parking lot. We walked in, and we sat at the first available seat. My grandfather was walking all the way down. We sat at the first available set of seats in turn 4, and that was like his section. And we watched the races. And I remember him telling me, he goes, "Yeah, we're going to see the modifieds and the figure eights." Now, every time the modifieds were done, they ran their heat, the figure eights would come out. And I was like, "They're going in an oval. What are the figure eights?" "No, that's later." Next figure eight, he comes out. "Is this?" "No, they figure," but I couldn't understand that they qualified on the oval and then raced the figure eight at the end. I remember 24 cars lining up on that figure eight race. And it was like a gazillion cars. I don't remember how many there were at the time. There had to be close to 80. But they lined up 24 cars in the figure eight, and there were the big old cars back then. You're talking like 1969, 1970, the 56 Fords, the 55 Chevys, the old Plymouths with the fins, all those old cars, the big Chevys from the 50s. The early 50s, the 49 Fords, the 54. That's what the cars that they raced in. They were big tanks. And they were on the figure eight cars. They're like almost hitting at the X on the pace lap. And then you just watch it. I'm like, and they couldn't decide. They picked the winner. I remember the announcer, Earl Sonny Granger, announcer said, "All right, right now we're going to pick," it was a 15-lap race. "So-and-so's the winner, but we're not going to know till later because he's the first guy that we have recorded doing 15 laps because it was so hard to score. It was just so hard. It was so dusty. It was just, but I was hooked. I was hooked that day. The first time I said, "I got to do this. And I went out, to the races sporadically with my grandfather and my uncle. And we watched the races, and it was fun, and I enjoyed it. I used to sit there, I think I could do this. So here it is. I'm going to go get a race car. I go get my first race car. Yeah, it was interesting. In fact, we're going to finish the story. We're going to take a break, and we're going to come back and finish that little story when we come back.
up, guys? We're Scare No Fair, and we're here with Inravio. If they catch you at a show with one of these bracelets, you will win $100.
That's a lot of money.
So get a bracelet.
Do whatever it takes to get that. Hit them up online.
Village Music Shop in Mastic has everything you need to give the gift of music this holiday season. Electric guitar packages with a guitar, amp, bag, and strap for only $129. Acoustic guitar packages as low as $79. Full-size 5-piece drum set package starting at $299. And all holiday packages come with 2 free private lessons. Gift cards available. Village Music Shop of Mastic. The best prices and personalized service for over 45 years. Call 1-800-HEY-DUDE and visit villagemusicshop.com. The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, Inravio can get your message out there. And we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is Inravio.com.
Hey, I'm Raul Panther.
And I'm Commander B. Hawkins.
And I'm Russ Will. We're some of the proto men. If we see you without this bracelet, you get punched in the But if you have this bracelet from Inravio.com, you can win $100.
Put one of these on, or else.
For over 60 years, Hanson Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hanson Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit HansonCarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hanson Carpet has got you covered.
Welcome back. Anyway, getting back to that. So here it is. It's 1978. I have a figure-eight stock car, and I'm going to go racing. I'm going to go to ISA Speedway. I'm going to drive figure-eight cars. But I can't because you have to have a NASCAR license. And I'm like, okay. So I go to get one, and I was only 20. So my parents had to sign a notarized consent, and there was no way. There was no way they would do that. So I found out that you could race on Sundays because at ISA, they used to run what they call bomber cars, Freeport and Riverhead Bombers, with figure-eight cars on a Sunday. You didn't need a NASCAR license. So I ran a couple events with them, and it was tough to qualify. I mean, it was just tough. Robin Vollmuller was one of the top runners then, and Paul McElherney was running. These guys from Freeport who just kicked our butts. So anyway, I had a good time doing it. Now it's 79. I'm 21. I'm going racing. I'm going figure-eight racing. I can remember the first time going on a racetrack. I practice, but you're out there in practice. You're just making sure none of the parts fell off, and I'm just trying to get a feel for things. So here I am. I'm of course last because I'm a rookie. I got to start way in the back, and I'm like 20th. It's a heat race. I'm starting 20th, and there's 4 heats. Do the math, 80 cars. So here I am. I'm 20th, and I'm in this heat race, and I barely knew how to drive a stick shift. Barely. I mean, I did it maybe once. So here I'm going to race a race car with a 3-speed. So here I go, and green, and I do this putt-putt thing, and I finally get going. But once you're going, you're people who drive a stick shift now. Once you're going, you're good. And I'm cruising along. I feel like I'm going faster than the speed of light. Stuff's going by me, the blurs. I'm like, this is awesome. And I hear this familiar sound. I hear, being a race fan and at the time and watching these races, I knew what Chris Young's car sounded like. It had distinct noise. And Ernie Maynard's car, the late Ernie Maynard, the late Chris Young too, for that matter, they had a distinct sound. So I hear them. I look in the mirror, and there they are. They're like here. So I go down a little bit, and they go by me like twice the speed of light because I'm going the speed of light. Next thing I know, the whole field goes by me like I'm stopped with a flat on the expressway. And they go by me, so I'm like, oh, man. So we're talking lap 3 now, you know? It's a 10-lap heat race. Well, it's a 10-lap heat race. I'm like finished 4 laps down, but I thought I went as fast as, like I said, the speed limit. So now I go into Conzi, it was just as bad. This went on for a whole season. Trust me, this went on for a whole season. But I was having fun, you know? And then finally I got a decent motor and still didn't qualify because there was 80 cars. And, but we had some fun, and like back then I met some good people. Bill Stockett, he was a big help to me over the years. Even to this day, we remain friends. Ed Dunlop Jr. And Fred Dunlop Jr. and his brother Eddie, you know, still talk to those guys today. And we had some fun. Things that we did, and you look back, and remember the time, getting ready, I used to use this gas station by my house to air up my tires and charge my battery. I remember I was driving down 109, headed to my mom's, you know, to get my cooler, and I'm driving, and all of a sudden I feel the back of the truck lift up. I'm like, what the heck is that? And the light's red, so I go to stop for the light, and it stopped a lot easier than it did at the last light. And I look in the mirror, my race car trailer is not there. I lost it down the road. Next thing I know, I look in the mirror again, and here it comes. It's coming at me. The trailer hits the truck. The trailer goes underneath the truck. The race car ends up on the bed of the pickup, and then the cops come. Suffolk County's finest. Suffolk County, Long Island, their finest. Thank God the cop was a race fan. Because my plate, it had a little sticker for your license plate for the registration. Well, the trailer wasn't registered because the little sticker was the right color for that year. So we just bent it so you couldn't see the year. And the cop goes, good thing it's the right color. I'm thinking I'm going to jail. I'm getting all kinds of tickets. And the cop let me drive the race car. Once we got it off the bed of the truck, he let me drive it 4 blocks home. Another cop got in front of me with his lights wailing, and the guy behind me, same thing, he put his lights on. We get to my house. My mother sees the sirens and the lights. I pull into the drive my race car, and she starts yelling at me that the cops would chase me driving my race car. But it was, you know, it's good memories, good memories. You know, and yeah, I think I should take a ride in the push truck one of these days. We're talking about going, we're just talking on the way here. We're going to Grandview, I think, and Big Diamond. I think we're looking to go there. So if that's one of your places, let me know. We'll take that ride and we'll go. I'll take a ride in the push truck. What the hell? Dellins Grove too. We're going to go there too. You know, but we have a list of places that we're going to try to go to. And, we're going to try to catch this early this season. But anyway, good times in the old days. Good times racing. And speaking of the old days, nostalgia cars and these vintage cars. You know, if you ever see them on a schedule somewhere, go watch them. Went to the New London Waterford Speed Bowl. There were 36 of them. They had 2 features, and they raced. And I don't mean they just drove around. They raced. In fact, there was a guy, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. He was the 1965 champ at the New London Waterford Speed Bowl, and he was out there racing his old car. And when I say racing, he put it in the fence. He wasn't just cruising around. They were racing. And had good time seeing these old cars racing. And then I was up at Lime Rock, and some of the old modifieds are up there. You see all these things, and it brings back memories. I remember watching these cars race back in the day. So it was all good. It was all good. And, missed those days. They were good. They were fun. They were really fun. Volusia, yeah, I won't be down there. I don't think I'm going to Speed Weeks, not this year. But Volusia is a good place to watch that. Tracy Bethel, how you doing? Happy New Year. Race always leaves you with good memories. And I'll tell you what, I had some good memories with Tracy, and when I had bought the blunderbuss car from my husband Chris Trico, and she came with the car. I thought they were joking, and she did. Very big help with tires and lineups and all kinds of good stuff. And those are the things that the friends that you meet along the way, and the friendships that you develop over the way. Those things last a lifetime. I don't think it's like that in any other sport. You know, I played baseball in high school, and I was on the wrestling team. And I had friends that played basketball, and those camaraderies didn't last. You run into each other at the reunions, and you talk about that big game or the big basket you got to win or that touchdown you got. They talk about that, but the camaraderie, the memories, we're making new memories every year since then. You know, when you look back. You look back, and yeah, I remember, you came with the car. I mean, I thought you were going to hop in the truck, Tracy, when we drove it out of your driveway. No, only kidding, but it was a big help. And then, of course, the car gets destroyed by my daughter. She destroys it the last night of the season at Riverhead. She destroys this race car. I'm away at a tour race. No, it wasn't. That was another time that she destroyed it. But this time, it was the last night of the season, and the car was so bent. When I say this car was bent, the left front bumper was this far outside, so it couldn't go in it. When I say this much, couldn't get in the trailer because the Nerf bar on the right side was this much outside. The car was a U. She hit the wall a ton and then got hit again and hit it again with the back. I had to have somebody put it on a flatbed and bring it back. And we ended up bringing it to Costa Rica, and he spent like half the winter putting it back together. And it was just, and I go to help him to get out of here. I work better by myself. Good memories, good people, and those shirts are doing you no good, Tracy, in the drawer. Only kidding. Yeah, we had some JTL shirts made up back in the day, and my team we had uniforms. But anyway, it was good times, good times. The memories that you have, the people that you met. And, and I look in the chat room, and I look at some of the people that are on, and I just said to them, right before we came live, I said, it kind of looks funny that my old buddy WJ is not here. He's been gone about a month, and you don't realize the friendships that you develop along the way. And he was a good friend, not only to me, but to a lot of people, and to this show. He never missed a broadcast as long as he was well enough to do it. And even when he was away, he would try to get on and watch. And if you look at our opening at the start of the show, he's part of that, and we're going to keep that on there for as long as we can. It's good, but it just, and I said it again before at one of the breaks, it just doesn't look the same without WJ at the top of the list, because he was always the first guy on, and God forbid I was late getting in, or had trouble connecting, or whatever the case might have been. You get those nasty grams from WJ, oh, late again, what's going on? I give it 5 more minutes, But, those are the things. But, WJ and then Tracy, we go back a long way. I'm glad you still wear that shirt sometimes. That's good. Don't wear it all the time because you wear it out, and I don't think I have any left. But it's all good. But like I said, it's the memories, the people you meet along the way, from the guy who sells the beer at some places, like at Orange County Fair Speedway, where my money's no good. And we go with Kevin and go, put your money away. It's no good. At the 31st lap. And all good stuff. And to the people at up at the Mountain or Evergreen now, and the guys in Mahoning who squeezed me into their press box. We were shoulder to shoulder. I mean, it's a tiny little room, and we're in there like this. I couldn't even. I had to scratch myself. I had to do that to scratch my nose. But it's cold, and poor Kevin's out on the infield freezing. The pond and the waterfall outside the gate froze solid, but we had a good time. I said, take care of me, And, it's all good. It's all good stuff, and coming up to sometime in the next 8-10 weeks, show number 250. Who would have thought? Now, there's other shows here at Inravio.com that have been around longer than me, and that's great, because I wasn't the first show. I wasn't the second. I don't even think I was the third. But I make a big deal out of that, because this is your show, folks. And if you guys weren't listening, you guys weren't in the chat room, there'd be nothing. I'd be sitting here by myself. But anyway, it's all good. It's all good, and I think you're right, because I was cleaning up the other day, and I thought I had smaller shirts, because I'm not as big as I used to be when I had those shirts, and I couldn't find any. So you probably did get the last one. I think you did. I don't know. But yeah, Tracy, memories on Facebook. You pull up his comments and you look at some of the things. And my race news people, which is in good hands with Michael Jaworski. We'll make Jaws a part of this show as well. It'll be all good. Anyway, we're going to take a break. We come back, we'll talk about some of the things going on in the Sprint Cup Series and some of the changes. There's always changes at this time of year, and a couple other things when we come back.
For over 60 years, Hanson Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hanson Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit HansonCarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hanson Carpet has got you covered.
Hey, this is Chris Les Jake, and if Inravio.com spots you at an event wearing this bracelet, they will give you $100.
What's up, guys? We're Scared No Fair, and we're here with Inravio. If they catch you at a show with one of these bracelets, you will win $100.
That's a lot of money.
So get a bracelet.
Do whatever it takes to get that. Hit them up online.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, Inravio can get your message out there. And we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is Inravio.com.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Yeah, 2016. I'm in a good mood in 2016. Not really, but we put on a good act. But anyway, what do we got going on? Yeah, okay, in the Cup Series. Darian Grubb, former Joe Gibbs Racing crew chief, is going back to Hendrick Motorsports. Grubb, who was 40 years old, will oversee every aspect of race car manufacturing at Hendrick Motorsports for all the teams. This is a newly created role at Hendrick Motorsports, and Grubb from Floyd, Virginia, he's excited to be back at Hendrick, where he feels like he's going home. On December 21st, Joe Gibbs Racing, where he came out of, announced that Grubb was currently exploring other opportunities. Grubb had been at Joe Gibbs Racing for 4 years, 3 with Denny Hamlin, and most recently with Carl Edwards. Grubb began his career with Richard Petty Enterprises shortly after his graduation from Virginia Tech with a mechanical engineering degree. So I want to wish Darian Grubb luck and continued success with his endeavors. Hendrick Motorsports is like, that's the best of the best. And he's going to be a part of that. So anyway, what do we got? Oh, yeah, some sad news. NASCAR legend Marvin Pouch passed away last week at the age of 89. Pouch was the best remembered for his 1961 Daytona 500 victory driving for Smokey Yunick. Pouch also had 17 victories in 15 seasons in the Top Series. He drove for the Wood Brothers from 62 to 66, finishing his career at Petty Enterprises. 89. Another guy from my child. I remember watching him when I was an early race fan on the old Wild World of Sports, where they showed a 200-lap race, and they only showed the first 10, like some of the crashes, and the final 20. As they went in and out between alpine skiing in Austria and the races back in those days. But I remember him. I remember him very well. One of those guys, one of the pioneers. And you talk about winning the Daytona 500 back in those days. You were a driver. You had to drive these cars, and it was a whole different era. I would love to see some old footage of some of those races from back in the 60s in that Sprint Cup Series. And, it should be good. And yes, for those who, and I mean, it's not official yet, but Mike Jaworski, Jaws, on myracenews.com, and I are working on an event in the memory of WJ at the New Riverhead Raceway. Jaws had a meeting with the people involved, and it looks very promising. So just looking for a race sponsor for the event, because usually when you come with a race sponsor, they'll kind of do whatever you ask them to do. So we're looking for a race sponsor for that race, and I don't know what we're going to call it. I don't think we want to call it you know, the WJ Memorial, but we want to do something to put a tribute to him because that guy was going to races for, man, 50 years. And, talked to everybody, had the column, did Long Island Jam, and we're going to get that done for him. What else do we got going? Speaking of things of sponsorship thing, Project Modified, the restoration of the vintage mod, the 82 Troya, car number 6, driven by Maine and Troya. We have it in our possession. We're getting ready to do some vintage racing. So if you want to be a part of that, just let us know. Let Kevin Basic and myself know. Looking to restore it to its almost original, just with the safety modifications. We got to go with that. So some of the place we race, the states control that, and you have to have certain things. But the car, and I think I said this a few weeks ago, the car is going to be in tribute not only to Maine and Troya. One side is going to be lettered and painted and decaled like the Maine and Troya number 6 was years ago, back in the 80s. And the other side of the car is going to be a tribute to Sal Liccardi Sr., who drove the 39 at ISA a couple of years ago, a guest on our show, a call-in guest while he was in the hospital. We made his day, and we're so happy to be remembered. Like, as he said before he hung up, he goes, "Thank you for remembering us old-timers." And you know what? And that's what we do. Yeah, that's, you know, this vintage racing, it's remembering the old-timers, the old cars, you know. And one man's junk is another man's gold, and thanks to Marty Himes and his Museum of Nostalgia over there in Bayshore, Long Island, you know, that history is preserved. And, you know, they had a nostalgia in it, and I'm trying to remember, it was at Bethel Motor Speedway. We saw some of the old cars, and there was a car that ran in the 67, the Indianapolis 500. I looked at the car, and I was like, wow, this thing can still go. And you look at some of those old cars, and then there was a guy, and forgive me for not remembering his name. We're going to show an interview of him in a few weeks. But I remember when I was a kid, and I mean a kid, 12 years old maybe, going to ISA Speedway, and the announcer was talking about this driver who had one arm. I wasn't up close and proud. I didn't, you know, go look at it in the pits. So I'm walking through the pit area at Bethel Motor Speedway, and there's a guy with one arm. So I started talking to him, and I says, I found out who he is, and that was the guy. And again, forgive me for not remembering his name. But I looked in his car. He had a hook. It was a hook. And he had different, like he had a plate on half the steering wheel with different holes where he was going to hold it, depending on what he had to do. And then I watched him race, and I was like, that's the guy. I mean, it's the same exact guy. We talked, and the guy had been racing for 50 years. 50 years racing. You know, driving back in the day. And I don't know. It was, you know, you look at that stuff. Even I saw the New London Waterford Speedball, an old Chris Young modified. And I'm sitting there, I says, is this an authentic Chris Young modified? Because absolutely, I bought it from this guy who bought it from Chris Young. It was the old 49 Pinto. And, I said, I'll tell you what, I drove one of Chris Young's cars. And every one of his cars, no matter which one, it had a certain item in it. And if this car has it, then I believe you. I get in the car, and there it was, right on the drive shaft tunnel. There was a pipe with a handlebar grip on it. I remember when I drove Chris Young's car, and I thought it was like some cheating device to move weight around. I said, Chris, what is that? He goes, that's what you're holding. I used that to hold on. Chris Young, you know, again, lost his life to having surgery. And I remember he gave me the opportunity to drive his modified. I never drove a modified before in my life. I never drove anything with that kind of horsepower. You know, it's just one of those things. And Tracy said he lost the hook in a race and won, but couldn't hold the checkered flag. I shouldn't be laughing, but I can picture that happen. You can't make this stuff up. You know, you can't make this up. You know, and it's just one of those things. And then you look back, and it's just fun stuff. But anyway, Project Modified. If there's anything you want to be a part of that, just let us know. We want to help put it back together. I mean, it's rolling, but it needs some work. It needs some TLC. It needs some paint. It needs some decals. It needs some lettering. I just need some parts. I need some tires and stuff, but to go racing. But if you want to be a part of that, just let us both know, because we want to preserve that history. I think it'd be unique to have a tribute car to tribute you know, in Maynard Troyer, who founded Troyer Race Cars in 1977, and Sal Accardi Sr., who was one of those guys on Long Island that just loved racing. But, it's all good. Anyway, what else we got? Chip Ganassi Racing will field 2 prototype entries at the 2016 Rolex 24 at Daytona. Sprint Cup Series regulars Jamie McMurray and Kyle Larson will drive the 02 ride with reigning Verizon IndyCar champion Scott Dixon, as well as 2004 IndyCar champion Tony Kanaan. Together, they look to defend their 2015 Rolex 24 Daytona title. McMurray's 2015 victory put him in company of racing legends Mario Andretti, AJ Foyt, as the only drivers to each win the Rolex 24 at Daytona and the Daytona 500. That event will be at January 30th and 31st at the Daytona International Speedway in Daytona Beach, Florida. And the 24-hour kickoff, the green drops at 2:10 p.m. Eastern Time. So that'll be, that's 24 hours, folks. And if you ever stayed up to watch the whole 24, I dare you. I can't. I try, I can't. It kind of gets, especially in the nighttime, so it kind of gets a little warm, but I'll tell you what, dude. It's 24 hours, non-stop. And think about that. You think about what goes into a 24-hour race and the attrition, parts, falling off and things wrecking and just watching this event through the road course of Daytona International Speedway, it's incredible. It kind of kicks off the season with racing, and then a couple of weeks later we'll be at back at Daytona for the shootout races, and qualifying, and then the dual 150s, the trucks, the Xfinity Series, the Sprint Cup Series with the Daytona 500, and then of course the races, the World Series, the last four motor racing at the New Smyrna Speedway, and the first annual, modified race right before that, before New Smyrna, at the Bronson Speedway in Bronson, Florida. So a lot of racing coming up. It's going to be here before you know it. And I'll tell you what, looking at my schedule for 2016, I got to be in a lot of police at the same time. So we'll try to figure that one out. And then, of course, and then put on this show here. But I believe it to be the end of March. It'll be show number 250. And trying to put that together now, how we're going to do it, and who we're going to invite. And it'll be good. It'll be good. We're looking forward to show number 250. Remember, our humble beginnings with the original host of our show, Henry Boston. And I didn't know this guy from a hole in the wall, and they put us together one night, and we made it happen. Henry went and built a car to go racing in the Bonneville Saw Flats to break the world land speed record, and never came back. I mean, he came back to Long Island, but he never came back to the show. Henry was a big help for me to get started here, and I don't want to steal any of the anniversary show done, but I thank Henry for the opportunity. I'm sure when the management of Inravio.com went over to Henry and said, we're going to bring a co-host in, this guy, Joe Larsen. The guy probably was like, Joe, who? Oh, that guy? He could have easily said, I'd rather not, and it would have never happened. So I got to thank Henry for that. I keep inviting him to the anniversary show, and he keeps, declining. I don't know. Anyway, going to be wrapping up shortly. So, 2016, for those of you who made New Year's resolutions, I hope they work out now. Me, about 10 years ago, I made a New Year's resolution, and I stuck to it all these years. So I don't need to make any new ones, because the New Year's resolution I made back then is, I'm not going to make any more New Year's resolutions. So it's worked for me. I've never made, maybe I should make some New Year's resolutions. Maybe I should change some things, but you know what? It's just fine the way it is most days. Some days it's not, but it's all good. All good. So anyway, but New Year's 2016, make it a good one, folks. It's because and I say this to my friends and whatnot. Tomorrow's not guaranteed, folks. Enjoy today. Enjoy today. Don't sweat the small stuff. There's too much big stuff going on. Enjoy what you have today. Tomorrow's not guaranteed. It's just not. I want to thank everybody for coming on tonight, taking the time out of your busy schedules to watch and participate in the 505 on Racing Show. Life is precious. Enjoy it. If somebody you love them, give them a hug. God bless you all. And we'll see you next week here at 505 on at Inravio.com. Good night, everybody.